The morning of my wedding dawned gray and drizzling. Not the sunny October day I dreamed of, but I told myself it was good luck. Rain on your wedding day is supposed to be a blessing, right? I should have known better. I was in the bridal suite at Ocean View Country Club, surrounded by my bridesmaids, when the first crisis hit. My maid of honor, Emma, was zipping up my dress when Jessica burst through the door, her face a mask of panic. "Sarah, we have a problem." I turned from the mirror, my heart already sinking. What kind of problem? The flowers. Vivian's van broke down on the highway. She's stuck in traffic, and half the arrangements are wilted from being in a hot car for 2 hours. Emma's hands stilled on my dress. Around the room, my bridesmaids fell silent. "How bad is it?" I asked, though I already knew the answer from Jessica's expression. "Your bridal bouquet is fine. She had that with her in the air-conditioned cab. But the altar arrangements, the centerpieces, Sarah, they look terrible. Brown edges, drooping petals. We can't use them." I felt the room tilt slightly. "So what do we do?" Jessica was already pulling out her phone. "I'm calling every florist in a 50-mile radius. Someone has to have something we can use." 2 hours before my ceremony, Jessica returned with armfuls of grocery store flowers. Basic roses, carnations, baby's breath. Nothing like the elegant arrangements I'd planned. Nothing like the expensive orchids I'd paid for. "It's the best I could do on short notice," Jessica said, genuine tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. This is not how your day was supposed to go." My bridesmaids rallied, quickly arranging the grocery store flowers into something presentable. They were sweet about it, calling the arrangements charming and rustic, but I could see the pity in their eyes. "It's fine," I kept saying. "It's fine. As long as David and I get married, nothing else matters." But it wasn't fine, and it was about to get worse. 30 minutes before the ceremony, Blake the photographer found me in the bridal suite. His face was flushed, his equipment bag slung hastily over his shoulder. "Mrs. Henderson, I am so incredibly sorry, but I have to leave." I stared at him. "Leave? My wedding starts in half an hour. My daughter, she's in the emergency room. My wife just called. She fell off her bike and they think she might have a concussion. I have to go." The world seemed to slow down around me. "But my wedding photos." I know, and I feel terrible. "Look, I'm leaving all my backup equipment here. If someone knows how to use a camera." He gestured helplessly at the professional equipment he was unpacking. "I'll refund your money, obviously, but I have to go to my daughter." What could I say to that? I nodded numbly, and Blake rushed out, leaving behind thousands of dollars of camera equipment that none of us knew how to use. Jessica appeared in the doorway as if summoned. "What's wrong? You look pale." I explained about Blake, watching Jessica's face cycle through shock, concern, and determination. "Okay," she said. "Okay, we can handle this. Emma, you took photography classes in college, right?" Emma nodded hesitantly. "Basic ones, but..." "Perfect. You'll use Blake's equipment. Sarah, I know this isn't ideal, but at least we'll have photos. They might not be professional quality, but they'll capture the memories." I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call the whole thing off and elope to Vegas. But David was waiting for me at the altar, and 150 guests were already seated. So I nodded and tried to smile. "You're right. Emma's great with cameras. It'll be fine." The ceremony itself was beautiful, despite everything. David's face when he saw me walking down the aisle made all the disasters fade away. For those 20 minutes, standing in front of our family and friends, promising to love each other forever, nothing else mattered. But Jessica wasn't done with me yet. The reception started smoothly enough. The band, Jessica's last-minute replacement band, was actually quite good, and the rustic farm-to-table dinner was delicious, if not what I'd originally planned. I was beginning to think maybe the day could be salvaged. Then Jessica stood up to give her maid of honor speech. "I've been Sarah's sister for 28 years, she began, smiling radiantly at the crowd. and I've never seen her happier than she is today. Despite all the challenges we faced planning this wedding, she launched into a detailed account of every disaster that had befallen my wedding planning. The florist mix-up, the photographer's accident, the venue change, the last-minute flower emergency, Blake's family crisis. She made it sound like an epic tale of sisterly cooperation, painting herself as the hero who'd swooped in to save the day time and time again. The guests were eating it up, laughing at the right moments, awing at her selfless dedication. But all I could think about was how she was turning my wedding reception into a showcase of everything that had gone wrong, with her as the star who'd fixed it all. But that's what sisters do, Jessica concluded, raising her champagne glass. We stand by each other no matter what. Sarah, I'm so proud of the beautiful, resilient woman you've become, and I'm honored to have been part of making your dream wedding come true. The applause was thunderous. People were wiping away tears. My own mother was beaming with pride at Jessica's speech. But as I looked at my sister's perfect smile, something clicked into place in my mind. A terrible, impossible thought that I immediately tried to push away. What if none of the disasters had been accidents? The thought was so awful I felt sick even considering it. But as Jessica hugged me and the crowd continued to applaud, I couldn't stop the questions from flooding my mind. What if the florist mix-up had been manufactured? What if Marcus Chen's accident had been exaggerated or even faked? What if every single vendor cancellation had been orchestrated? I thought about how quickly Jessica had solutions for every problem. How she always seemed to know exactly which replacement vendor to call. How every single substitution had been more expensive and more aligned with her taste than mine. I thought about her November wedding date. Perfectly timed to show everyone how much better her event would be than mine. As the evening wore on, I watched Jessica work the room like a politician, accepting congratulations on her amazing job helping me plan my wedding, dropping hints about her own upcoming nuptials. She was already describing her vision. Elegant, sophisticated, everything mine wasn't. Sarah's wedding is so charming, I overheard her telling a group of my college friends. Very sweet and rustic. Mine will be a bit more formal. Richard and I are really going for timeless elegance. David found me standing alone on the terrace, staring out at the ocean. Hey, he said softly, wrapping his arms around me from behind. You've been quiet. Everything okay? I leaned back against his chest, feeling the warmth of his body, breathing in the scent of his cologne. He was my husband now. Nothing else should matter. Just thinking, I said. About what? I was quiet for a long moment. Then I said, do you think it's possible to love someone and hate them at the same time? David was quiet too. Then he said, are we talking about Jessica? I turned in his arms to face him. You noticed it too, didn't you? You? How convenient all those disasters were for her. Sarah. He sighed. I didn't want to say anything on your wedding day, but yes. I noticed. She sabotaged my wedding, didn't she? She destroyed everything I wanted and made herself look like a hero for fixing it. I think so, yes. The confirmation should have made me angry, but instead I felt strangely calm, cold even. She's going to do this forever, isn't she? Always making herself the star of my story. My engagement became about her engagement. My wedding became about her wedding planning skills. My marriage will become a comparison point to show how much better hers is. David cupped my face in his hands. Only if you let her. I looked back through the windows at the reception, where Jessica was holding court with a group of relatives, probably telling them about her November wedding plans. She looked so pleased with herself, so confident that she'd pulled off the perfect crime. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated me. All my life, I'd been the quiet sister, the accommodating one, the one who went along to keep the peace. Jessica had counted on that. She'd counted on me being too nice, too naive, too grateful for her help, to ever question her motives. She was wrong. David, I said quietly, how do you feel about attending Jessica's wedding in November? He raised an eyebrow. After what she did to ours. I'd rather not, honestly. I smiled, and something in my expression made him take a step back. "Oh, but we're going," I said. "We wouldn't miss it for the world." Because Jessica was about to learn that the quiet sister had been watching, listening, and remembering everything. And when it was my turn to give a speech at her wedding, I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly what kind of person she really was. The game was just beginning.